Hey everybody, welcome back. I hope everybody is doing well. Um, man, I am so looking forward to 9 o'clock tonight. Um, but tonight is the first or season 2 of Born Again, Daredevil Born Again. The first episode is airing tonight at 9 o'clock. Um, and I was waiting for this day. But originally they were gonna have episode 1 and 2 released tonight. But I feel like since we're getting episode 2 and 3 next Tuesday, it definitely works out in a way. But I feel like the first episode definitely will be absorbed, hopefully, by a lot of people. But my overview with season 1 was incredibly great. Um, I will say having new characters in that first season, returning characters and characters really that were also in the Daredevil series, so not Born Again, but the Daredevil series, that came out on Netflix. Um, it was a great series, but Bullseye happened to be in a couple of those episodes. But I will say, to see him come back and to see him play a major role in season 1, and I know we'll be seeing a lot more of him, of Ben Pendexter, um, in this one, in this new season more. Um, but I have many theory. One of the biggest theories is which I will get into. I may not announce it right away, but I'm excited for this series in a lot of ways. But before I get into really what had gone on in the first season, I will do a recap of the first season. I will say a big event occurred in the first episode where Foggy, so it was Matt Murdock's assistant, or but that worked with Karen Page along with Matt Murdock. Um, Unfortunately, Bullseye killed Foggy. Um, but I gotta go let Thor out. But I'll be back.
In 2019, Corey starts Cambridge Hills Realty, which is her home flipping business. That first year, Corey buys and resells a property to a family that says they found their dream home. As to this homeowner's me, and him, and me, and him, and me. We just bought a house! Just 2 years later, Corey is managing 15 renovation projects.
Corey's making a very good living.
It's expanding quickly. She's buying a lot of properties, and by all accounts, it is very successful. This looks like the all American perfect family. A beautiful home, a beautiful family, beautiful children,
There's
and two
two
thriving
glowing
businesses.
eyes and Mike's yard.
Oh, really?
I don't
No,
know
we
if
ever
they're
thought they were losing the eyes.
coyotes, but
Of course,
there was
Eric Richards,
two.
a dedicated father, is providing for his
Eating Mike's
children.
out?
This
No, there was
dreaming widow
two
is about to
eyes.
discover
And I don't
those
know
in
what
church
they what
won't be
but
quite
there was
what she
two
thought.
eyes glaring at
Eric's
Thorn
sister
Eye
Amy says
across
this
in
home
Mike's yard.
isn't yours. They're
Two
screaming
eyes,
back and
not
forth.
one. But I don't know if they were
I
coyotes
said
or
to between the
deer,
two of them.
but they didn't run off, they were still there.
Asthma was making me miss out on things I love, like spending time with my kids. My treatment plan was not doing enough for me. I was concerned about future attacks. So I asked my doctor if we could do more. He ran some tests and recommended adding Fasenra.
Fasenra is an add-on treatment for eosinophilic asthma.
Now I'm breathing better. I haven't had an asthma attack in a year, and I'm back to the things I've missed. Like cheering for my boys. Let's go! Running my shop and spending time with friends.
Fasenra is not for sudden breathing problems. Serious allergic reactions, including anaphylaxis, may occur. Get help right away for swelling in your face, mouth, tongue, or trouble breathing. Don't stop asthma treatments, including oral steroids, without talking with your doctor. Tell your doctor if your asthma worsens or you have a parasitic infection. Headache and sore throat may occur.
Haven't you missed enough? Be your own best advocate. Ask your doctor about Fasenra.
If you can't afford your medication, AstraZeneca may be able to help. Litterback. When cat litters are so heavy, it hurts. If you suffer from litterback, try Tiny Cats Lightweight with astounding 21-day odor control. At the Tiny Cats Innovation Lab, we've got your back. Performances you had was the greatest performance I have ever seen on this stage. Look, superstar guest performances.
You just set the whole show on fire.
America, it's your turn to vote. This is a goal. Training for the Boston Marathon. It's a commitment.
Saying on Marchworth through a phone call. Why? What happened? What could have caused it? It was just surreal. And just the day before, Corey says that she and Eric were toasting the purchase of her dream property, a $2.9 million mansion. And just hours later, Eric would be dead. Eric is beloved in the community, and many people come and gather at the family home to sort of celebrate his life. There were just constant people coming in and out of the house, paying their condolences. We were just, reminiscing about Eric.
We were all just there to support Corey, keep the boys occupied, keep their minds sort of off of, what happened.
We were literally talking about Eric the entire night and raising, dancing, and listening to his favorite songs. One of our friends is shotgunning a beer.
Richard?
And it's not the way everybody else may celebrate, but that's how we did it, because that's what Eric would have done with us. At one point, they're playing music, and Cody Johnson's "So You Can't" comes on, and it's Eric's favorite song. I mean, it's an incredible song with a very the garage. And Amy had seen the sign on a truck that said locksmith or something. She flipped out and told Corey, you're not supposed to be getting in a safe.
And then Amy drops a bomb. She tells Corey that Eric had secretly set up his trust and will, and Corey was largely cut out.
They're screaming back and forth. I stepped in between the two of them. Eventually, the police showed up.
In the midst of all of this, Corey wants to fact check what's going on, and they call the estate planner. So the estate planner ends up confirming to Corey that right around 2020, Eric had created an estate,
Yeah, I
and
just
that his sister
let him out.
Katie was in
Yeah,
charge of
he
that
did.
and the executor.
He makes his sons the beneficiary of the trust. He puts the house in the trust.
And that's when those words of "it's not your home" came out. And Corey's like, "It is my house. I've lived here for 10 years. What are you talking about?"
Amy told authorities that Corey punched her in the face and the neck. Corey is then arrested and charged with assault.
She ends up pleading no contest, but she is found guilty of assault.
To think this is happening 2 days after Eric's death, and then these two families have to see each other again at Eric's funeral?
The funeral itself, I think, went off very well. But you can already see the animosity between the two families. It's contentious.
Oh, the funeral was incredibly uncomfortable. Corey stood in one, and then his family stood in like another area. Yeah, it was a very obvious divide immediately, and they wouldn't talk to each other.
There really wasn't much reference to Corey. There wasn't a lot of love going on.
Over the top, lavish casket. It was like a horse and buggy. It was grand. It was very country. It was just the most uncomfortable funeral I've ever been at. His 40th birthday was just a couple weeks after the funeral. Like his clothes had already been taken down, and she wasn't wearing her wedding ring, and I thought that was a little odd. I mean, it wasn't even a month.
As the months passed, Corey filed a civil lawsuit against Eric's sister, Katie, disputing the trust.
And Corey seems to continue to adjust to life as a single mother and a businesswoman.
Corey talks a lot about how important routine is to getting through the process of grief. And so, usually at nighttime, this is when you read to your children. And she was saying that they looked for something to read that would answer some of these questions, and she found nothing.
She said, I have looked everywhere and I can't find a book on grieving for children. She said, I wonder if I could write one.
Corey Richins self-published a book called Are You With Me?
The first part of the book is actually written from the child's perspective, the little boy who's wondering if his dad is with him.
Hey guys.
Corey actually used a ghostwriter in order to create this book.
So I just had a pretty sketchy thing happen outside when I took Thor out. I will share about that, and then we'll go into the Marvel stuff about Daredevil. But I took Thor out, and I had gone off the deck, um, and I was across the street, but at our neighbor's house, Mike's house. There was two pairs of flashing eyes. Definitely an animal. As I said, there's one animal I feel like that might even have that glare, but they were eyes because they were blinking like that. It was not a light or anything like that. These were eyeballs. Um, but I want to not guess what I saw, but the two eyeballs, because the thing is, people are seeing coyotes on a regular basis because of their breeding and things like that. So I want to say it might be, because the thing is, if it's a pair of coyotes, if it's a male and female that are already paired, The only thing if they are a pair of coyotes, hopefully they don't decide to den. Because I mean where there's like thick brush, because the next house, that the next house, if you keep going up the road behind their house, it's a single mom and kids that live there, but behind their house there's plenty of like open forestry that these coyotes could build a den, which would make it extremely dangerous, especially if this mom has young kids. um Hopefully when a breeding pair comes along, it's just kind of path to pass by. But what I am kind of a bit anxious about, I'm not saying at all coyotes are bad animals, I'm not saying that. But really looking out for little kids on my road, and the fact that they are territorial this time of year when it comes to breeding, if it's a male looking for a female. But as I said, it could be a couple deer as well, because we've had deer in our yard before. Um, but I know when I went back inside, the um, the um, the eyes still were flashing, meaning the animals were still looking, and they looked right at me on the deck. Because if I feel like if it was two deer, like two female does or a buck even, they would have taken off. Especially since Thor got pretty, he was a lot closer to that side of the road, so, and they didn't spook, and luckily Thor didn't see him. Thor got back inside safely. Because it was funny, Thor didn't even go on the road either. He didn't, and as I said, I don't think he saw the two eyeballs. I did hear some barking though, which determines whether or not were these coyotes or were they coy wolves. Because coy wolves do bark. They make a like a um. Coyotes don't bark like wolves do. If you encounter a wolf in the wild, they give off a warning bark. But coyotes do like that yipping. They do growl too if you're close enough, but I didn't hear any growling or anything like that. I heard a lot of barking, which which I'm guessing at the dead end there, our neighbor, they have dogs and things like that. So, but it is still breeding season for coyotes. I'm just gonna double check, and I want to see what their eye color looks like at night. Because the eye color I just saw outside were like two pairs of blue eyes and like almost like yellowish eyes. But they were glaring right at Thor, actually right at me. But thankfully Thor didn't see them or hear any, hopefully any growling. But hopefully it's just a male and female passing by. Hopefully they don't plan to den here. But I know sometimes females will give birth in the open, or they'll look for somewhere to dig a den, dig up a den. Yeah, these were coyotes. God damn it. So it says coyote eyes are usually about 2 feet off the ground, and that's right where I was seeing the. It was definitely 2 feet, but it says higher than a fox and lower than a deer. These and the thing is, you wouldn't see two. I mean, I would think a cat, a domestic cat's eyes would be a lot lower to the ground as well. But it says here that tapetum lucidum acts as a mirror, allowing coyotes to see 5 to 6 times better in the dark than humans. So those two coyotes were looking at me because they can see more clear in the dark. Because I couldn't even make out the body structure or anything. But these were the colors I saw looking, the reflection right at me was definitely yellow, brilliant, brilliant yellow, and then the other one was green. So exactly what I saw. And we hardly ever get coyotes in the neighborhood. I mean, we get them. I mean, Jeff, our neighbor on the dead end there, I mean, he has a friend that goes out there in the field night vision hunting for coyotes when they're in season. But breeding season's different because that's when they're breeding. That's when the males. But the thing is, what I have to pick up are is animal behavior, because if it was deer, they I feel like would have either ran off or would have turned around, ran back into the woods, and not stood there and looked at me. I mean, maybe if they were curious, but typically deer would flee. I mean, and Thor got a lot closer than I did to them, to these two. But I mean, the thing is, since I've lived here, I've seen. Actually, I did see a coyote with my. Actually, it was my mom and I were headed towards Freiburg, but it was when like literally they were doing construction near Stanley Hill Road, but there was a coyote that just crossed in the construction zone during the day. But I feel like if they were a couple deer, I don't think at all they were deer, because Thor wouldn't have been able to get that close without spooking them. And if it was a deer, it would be these eyes would be a lot higher to the ground as well. I will say Mike's got a big dog too. He's got that may hopefully, if they are coyotes, possibly might scare him away, but I wouldn't know the outcome of what a male coyote would do during breeding season to a bigger dog, like bigger than Thor. But it's not so much that I fear coyotes. It's really the point where I mean, we respect wildlife, we don't hurt wildlife. But if it's becoming a precaution for especially little children on your road, it does become a dangerous situation, or it can be. I will say that coyotes are wild animals, as everybody knows, and I would not want any of my kids or any of the neighbors' kids to get bit or severely hurt. Because mating season, I mean, since it's like almost, I think it's actually so they said either towards the end of March or May is when the female coyote would give birth to her pups. But it's I have some night vision, actually binoculars I could pull out. But what I might even do is tomorrow night, because as I said, they may not stay in the area, but I am going to be on a lookout. Let's see, when did I take Thor out? So I'm going to say 8:15 is probably when I took Thor out. So I think 8:13 tomorrow, I'm going to make sure I bring out my night vision binoculars, because I mean I'm not spying in the. I just but I might even, but I have a flash drive in those binoculars I can take and put it. Actually, I might be able to insert it in my tablet. It's definitely something I'm never gonna forget. I mean, if these are coyotes, I'm gonna make sure these binoculars I bring them out tomorrow if they come back. Um, but another indication that kind of makes me think these are definitely coyotes is our neighbor Mike has a really old shed that's right there, and usually when coyotes are cold and need to find shelter, they will resort into going into barns, um, open sheds, that don't have a door, but to keep warm. But for me, it's wanting to see these animals in breeding season, and I might have just gotten a little hint of what that was because it was two pairs of eyes in the same area, and these animals did not flee when I went back inside with Thor. And if I feel like if it was a pair of deer, they would have gotten spooked by Thor. Like they would have seen Thor because Thor like was in front of my dad's truck front bumper, so he was well enough far out to not see them in the dark because it was dark, but there was barking, but I feel like it was the neighbor's dogs because coyotes, as far as they do have like they don't bark like wolves, but they have like that whimpering kind of bark. But they weren't deer. They weren't. I feel like this could have been something completely different. It could. I mean, I feel like it was a rare sight, even if I would say the chances of seeing it in broad daylight, I think, would be pretty slim. But obviously, I mean, people do see coyotes during the day, so that is not a lie. It's not a hoax. But those things in nature, when you're in maybe even towards the end of watching an animal through breeding season, possibly even seeing a rare occasion of mom giving birth to her newborn, is, I would say, those are the best ways you can begin spring, is watching life develop, watching it be forged. But anyways, I'm getting sidetracked. But anyways, let's talk about the Daredevil. Actually, so it's well past. Yeah, so we only have a half an hour until 9 o'clock. But I am going to state to you all that personally, I loved season one of Born Again. Um, there was a lot of characters that came back, and there was at least three new characters we ended up getting. But unfortunately, and I want to pay this tribute, but one of the actors that portrayed the original White Tiger, Hector, which Hector was actually a guy who was framed of pushing or assaulting an officer, but it wasn't an officer. It was Kingpin's, so-called task force or officers that were aiding Kingpin in the city. But they were assaulting a man, and Hector went up and attacked him. Because this man was defenseless, he couldn't fight for himself, so Hector stepped in and. But the actor that portrayed Hector, I think it was after the shooting or after the production of the first season, sadly passed. And his character as well did. I mean, unfortunately, Hector did get shot by the Punisher in the first season, but the actor himself actually died as well. Um, which I'm pretty sure it was either before they started the season or it could have been after. I think it was actually because they had announced it when the season aired, when the first season of Born Again aired. Heck, the guy that played him passed away, so it's very unfortunate. Um, but I will say two new characters we did get were Muse. So Muse was the what is it? The guy, I call him the guy in the white and black, young man, but he is I mean, he is a serial killer, but his ways of serial killing is very different from what you would see, in Chucky, a lot of the horror based films. Muse did it through art, through painting. But what he would do is he would kill his victims, um, and use their blood to paint on billboards in the city, or use their blood to. He would finger paint their blood on walls and things like that. But this guy was very, very. He was a killer, and for him, I mean, this guy was a young man. I would say probably maybe in his 20s, but Muse is not. He's not as like iconic as the other villains. He's actually a quite lesser known villain, but he's also a very brand new villain, meaning that he was a villain that came in the Daredevil hardcover comics, like back in 20, actually he was created in 2018, so he's a fairly new character. um I will say I don't know who's worse between him and Joker, because they're both pretty. I think he's got definitely a similar backing structure as far as origin stories go compared to the Joker. Um, but the thing is that Muse was is a dangerous guy and actually kidnapped Hector's niece, which is going to be the White Tiger. Um, hopefully in this second season, but the mantle is going to be passed to her. But as I said, Muse and Hector, and then the girl, Hector's niece, were the new characters in that movie because we did see the others, obviously in previous, actually most of the Daredevil series on Netflix. Bullseye, Kingpin, Daredevil himself, Karen Page, Foggy. But I feel like we're gonna see a lot more Bullseye in this one. I mean, we did see a fair amount of him in the first season, but I feel like the way season one ended definitely is going to be very, I feel like is going to connect to season two in a lot of ways. Where I feel, I mean, this is just a theory I'm going to make, since, what is it? Um, Kingpin loves, loves his wife, but that was the thing, is that was his wife, but I question whether it was or wasn't. But I definitely question if she really loved him, or she was just doing that. But the thing is that so Bullseye's real name in the show is what is it, Ben Pendexter. And well, he goes by a lot of other names other than Ben Pendexter, but that's the name they chose for him in the show. um but Bullseye kills Foggy, and Daredevil, I mean, doesn't wanted to kill him, but I feel like would have killed him, but instead Ben served prison time, but escaped prison, basically killed all the guards. But it was very, like, some of I mean, his abilities is that he can use any projectile weapon as a ranged weapon, so it could be something simple like a broken tooth or a paper airplane. But even that story I heard about Bullseye literally tossing a paper airplane out of a window, and it hits the guy you want to hit and kills him, is like, paper actually, I know it can leave paper cuts, but it can actually, obviously this is all fictional stuff, so, and Marvel's a fictional franchise, so there's no way a paper airplane can kill somebody with a headshot. But Bullseye, that's his ability, is that he can use any projectile as a weapon, and he's always he never misses. I will say he's a really good angle ranged person too. Like, he shoots at angles too, or like something will reflect on an angle. But seeing him fight Daredevil literally in the first episode was very awesome, but very, like, they both were taking a lot of hits, a lot of damage. Um, Especially Bullseye, he's using everything he can to immobilize Daredevil, but like Daredevil's using his, what do you call him? But he can use this thing as like a pair of nunchucks or whatever they are, a bow staff, but it's like an all-in-one weapon. And of course, his abilities is Matt Murdock is blind, meaning he can't see. And it had to do with a chemical accident as a child, but I'm pretty sure his dad or one of his parents was driving him somewhere, and they crashed into a truck that contained acid containers, but the acid caused him to lose his vision. So he can detect people by hearing, by listening, obviously not being able to see them. He can detect them by hearing their movement and things like that, or hearing gunshots. But they call him the man without fear. But I'm so looking forward to season two, because one of my theories is that if Bullseye was not working for, because it sounds like he wasn't working for Kingpin to kill Foggy at all. Because I think the person that hired him to kill Foggy was Kingpin's wife, Miss Fisk, Mrs. Fisk, they call her in the show. But Bullseye also has a feminine side to him, meaning that there is Lady Bullseye. So my theory is, could this be or maybe this season or the previous one or the next one, season 3, be that Kingpin's wife betrayed him and hired Bullseye to kill him? Or were Bullseye and Mrs. Fisk already together, but she didn't tell Wilson that at all? Wilson Fisk, Kingpin. Because for me, I totally see that we're gonna see Lady Bullseye probably sooner than we think. And and another thing too is, maybe, I don't know, but I feel like maybe with Muse, he's dead. He didn't come back in the first season, but you don't know, because like that's the thing is, Matt Murdock took the bullet fully to protect Kingpin from Bullseye in the last episode. So for me, that kind of indicates, well, because at the ending, very end, after that scene in the last episode, they showed a casket with Daredevil's mask on it. So my theory is, could Muse still be alive? Or could he revive himself? Because, he injected toxic, what is it, like medicine into Hector's niece. But I feel like that might even be how, even though it was a totem that gave her powers, I'm wondering if the toxins that Muse used to inject Ava, I can't remember her name, but if those toxins came from Wakanda. because White Tiger is definitely one of those characters that is cat like, looks like White Wolf to me, but of course, this is White Tiger. We're not talking about White Wolf or Black Panther. But could this thing with Muse kidnap me and relate to Wakanda? And as I said, I don't even know if we will see Lady Bullseye in this second season. I think there's plenty of guesses that why, like if she played a not a crew, Kingpin's wife, if she didn't kill Foggy or was responsible to kill Foggy, then who did? If it wasn't Kingpin, because when Matt Murdock interrogated Ben in prison, because Ben wanted to speak to him, he immediately asked Ben who hired him to kill Foggy, and you know Matt originally said, was it Kingpin? So there's something there that it wasn't Kingpin that killed Foggy or was held, that obviously hired Bullseye to do it. Deep down, I feel like that Mrs. Fisk was also in a deep connection, maybe even relationship with Ben, leading to that murder. Of course, after season 2, we're getting that Punisher special presentation, which I know this also is going to be mapped out to follow the Punisher events. Maybe, I don't know, but that's what people are skeptical about, is if these episodes are going to be events that are possibly going to have effect into the Punisher series. It makes sense that it might. Um, but what I've seen, I actually like. I don't typically like murder mystery things or any kind of, but this actually is very interesting. It's kind of like Matt Murdock is blaming the guy that actually hired Bullseye in the Netflix Daredevil series, meaning when it first started out, Kingpin was to blame for Bullseye. But now, since this is a whole other approach and direction to Daredevil, it sounds like Kingpin was not responsible of killing Foggy. It was it was the woman in the red dress at the what was it? What, I don't know what it was. It wasn't a wedding, but at like the or the like the big party or whatever was going on. But and really the fact that Bullseye was able to escape prison, killing the guards, disguising himself as one of the guards, obviously doing that so he wasn't detected, going in to that big room, ballroom or whatever it was, because obviously he had his set sights, he had his eyes set for Kingpin, where Matt jumped in front of the bullet to protect Kingpin. And the fact that, what was it, um, Kingpin and Matt Murdock switched their dancing partners, so Matt was dancing with Kingpin's wife, and Kingpin was dancing with Matt Murdock's girlfriend in the show that supposedly he thought was working for Kingpin. something's going to happen. That I think multiple things in season 2 are going to happen, and I feel like, just for me, I think Bullseye. I mean, it sounds like he's getting a big role in this. I think much bigger than he got in season 1, even though he did play a crucial role as far as just starting out the first episode. An event has to occur in the beginning, and but anyways, guys, is it that time? It's 8:51, so we're almost, but I am planning to watch the first episode tonight. And then, as I said, next Tuesday they are releasing episode 2 and 3. But I think the series ends on May 17th is when the last episode will be aired. But tomorrow I will show you guys my full Funko collection. Wow, somebody literally just posted 12 minutes ago. It's almost that time. Daredevil season 2. Yep. Wow, 6 more minutes. All right, so I'm actually gonna look up. So we've got wow, two actually almost so 8:59, baby. I don't know. For me, I mean, I know a lot of people like New Year's Eve. Some people stay up for the ball to drop, but obviously this isn't happening at 11 right now. I'm going to be catching the first episode on time of Daredevil, or the season 2 episode 1 of Daredevil Born Again. 8:59. We got a minute. All right, guys. I am going to end my live so I can make it on. But thank you for watching.